Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. And today I'm bringing a, if you've read this, try this, specific author edition, right? So these videos are always really fun. I enjoy them as well. When there's a book that you just love so much, we want to find as many books just like it as we can, right? That's what we do. We're book nerds. That's what we're looking for, is that same high we get from one book to show up in another one. Well, this is not necessarily the most unique version to take on that. I mean, I mostly am calling this, if you like this, try this, because it's a recognizable title for this, instead of saying, have you read this little known book in this author's backlist? Something I've always liked doing, and I know I haven't made as many of these videos as I would like to, but I love making like entire backlists of an author and putting it in a video. The thing is, I haven't read as many full backlists of authors as you'd think. You know, it just, sometimes an author's older work don't live up to their newer stuff, you know, so I really try to focus in on their new works because that's what I'm enjoying the most. Sorry, I'm still a little bit sick, so I have to take many drinks to get through the filming, but we're here. But in some cases, there are books that hold up just as well from an author's earliest work as their newest stuff. And sometimes I think they're even better. They're just fantastic. So that's what we're going to do. And now, one note, there is one, well, I guess there's only one. There's one of these authors that if you've read this, read this, the read this is actually like a newer book, but not as many people have been like reading that one. So that's why I'm bringing it up, if that makes sense. But otherwise, for pretty much all of these, they're just reminding us of some older books that an author has done that I've also loved. So as I showed in the photo, we're going to start actually with Sam Mariano. And most of y'all probably know her from Untouchable, or Even If It Hurts, or maybe even Descent. Those are her most recent books she's put out. I absolutely adore Sam Mariano. Her dark romances, they just hit different than so many others that people try. And there's so many people who try to mimic her, and what they do can hit it just right. But one that I would like to recommend, which again, it's not necessarily saying like, if you like Untouchable, try this, because it's not like Untouchable, it's something completely different, but it's books that not everybody knows that she has, right? And so I wanted to bring Stitches to Your Eye. This is a menage romance, and it actually is MFM, which isn't my favorite cup of tea, but I really enjoyed how it was broached in this one. This is also one of her quote-unquote lighter books. It doesn't have the quite level of twistedness, but some people might call it, you know, a little bit twisted for the scenario in here, which is we have a married couple in here who they're very happily married, and they have a friend who he finds out that his wife is a cheater, and she's not been a great wife, and he's going to be getting a divorce. And so this married couple actually invites him to share the wife. Sometimes with the husband like present for some kinky stuff, but again, it's always MFM. The men aren't bisexual in this one. And sometimes it is just the wife and the friend. What I love about this though is it has a little bit of like gifting me to his best friend vibes, but it's done as like an act of care. You know, this husband and wife, they trust their marriage very, very much. They do. And they really care for this friend, and they want him to feel loved, and that he can, you know, be finding sexual pleasure with people who love and that he trusts. And I just think it was very beautiful. Like, it's a very touching story. And I mean, of course it's erotic and it's hot, but I just love how it isn't for a completely titillizing reason to be having this menage. It is, again, it's an act of love, an act of care to welcome him in. And this does have an HEA. This does become a polytriad by the end. It is just a MFM triad, but because the men are friends, there still is this level of love. It's not the sexual love that I would normally want from a menage to happen. Like I said, this one is an exception, not the rule for me. I normally want it to be MMF that's happening, right? More of a give me more situation, where I was hoping, but this was before I even really knew to hope for MFM. This was during my time when I was still parsing out what I was looking for. But I just still really believed the relationship and that this would still work between them all. So yeah, this is my recommendation for if you read San Mariano, have you checked out Stitches? This is the anniversary cover of it. I was actually able to get a signed edition of her anniversary cover. But like, you can buy this on Amazon. It isn't like an exclusive, but there is another cover to this one. So I really loved this book, and not everyone knows about that one. So just wanted to pass it on. All right. Next, this one might be stretching it a little bit because I feel like most people will know that this series connects to the author's newest works that she's doing, but some people don't. So I thought I would point it out. One author who has become pretty mainstream right now, in fact, she has new releases coming out all the time that are in Barnes & Noble that are traditionally published. But a lot of her books in her indie world all connect back to the Pucked series. So yes, I have Helena Hunting. I used to talk about the Pucked series all the time. I used to read a lot more sports romance than I do now. I think I might be going into a sports era very soon, just with where Bookstagram was going. And some of my first love was the Pucked series by Helena Hunting. I absolutely fell for Alex and Violet and his big stick that he carries around. But this is a stepbrother's like teammate scenario. And Violet has a one-night stand with Alex Waters, who is, I believe, the captain. He's the captain of the team. And he has a really big dick, and they have a really fun night. And then Alex kind of becomes obsessed. Like, he kind of becomes a bit of a stalker to Violet. She's not too mad about it, though. And I really enjoyed that. But they are actually the beginning of so much, because there's the Pucked series, and then there is a spin-off series, and then another spin-off series. So, like, there's a spin-off series where Alex is now, like, a coach for a team, and his kids are young. And then there is the newest ones where their kids are hockey players, and stuff like that. So, but I just wanted to bring this one up. It's probably not far from people's mind. They probably know, but this is my video, and I wanted to bring this one up, that if you see Helena Hunting's her traditionally published books around, that this was the beginnings, and they were wonderful, sexy beginnings with Pucked. Another hockey author that we love so much actually has another book that I would love to share. If you have read Him and Us by Serena Bone and Elle Kennedy, you really should try their other MM matchup that they did, which is Top Secret. This one is I love this one so much. This one is two college students, and one of them is actually looking for a male to have a threesome with him and his girlfriend. And then he ends up breaking up with his girlfriend, but still talking with the guy that they were going to have this threesome with. And they find out that they're actually like enemies they've been enemies around the school. But they end up still hooking up themselves then. And so this one is definitely kind of like a bi awakening for one of the heroes. But I just loved this. And I know after I read Him and Us, I immediately jumped to this one. And I wish Serena Bone and Elle Kennedy were still writing. Like, they have their WAG series where there's only 2 books that came out in it, and there was others teased, but that is the trick with author duos. I mean, that's the trick with authors as it is. Like, if people lose interest for something or things change in their life and we don't get those books, but this is definitely one you can visit if you love Him and Us. Definitely more angsty than those ones were, but these were still really hot because I just love how they do sexual exploration for, like I said, like a bi awakening for a man, and I think they do a great job with it. All right, now we have the one where this is actually a newer release than some of this author's most popular books, but I feel like it didn't get all the love that it fully deserves. I just have to bring it to your attention because you can't miss out on this book, okay? It is delightful. And that is Bright Like Wildfire by Juliet Cross. So this is actually her first foray. Well, it was technically her second foray because she did do a book with Smarty Pants Romance first. But this is her first, like, standalone title, like, all on her own. And it will be the first in her Beauville series. But if you love her Stay a Spell books with the humor and the Louisiana, New Orleans ties and the fun and the sexiness, you absolutely should read Bright Like Wildfire, which is just the sweetest. It revolves around the theater. There's a performance happening of A Midsummer Night's Dream, and Bennett and Betty are kind of it's like rivals to lovers. They're like, Betty feels like they're more enemies than Bennett does. But they end up getting made the leads in this, and then sexy times ensue between them. And it's so delightful. I absolutely love it. And if you haven't gotten yourself through all of the backlist of Juliet Cross, this is one that you should dive into right away. And she will have more books in this world coming soon. All right, then we have one that I love to point out to people because it is just so sexy, so delightful, just the bestest. So if you love Sierra Simone and you love her erotic romances, whether it's the Priest series or whether it is her, the Thorns, what is it? Lessons in Thorns, like those books. She has a historical erotic romance trilogy. And they are amazing. And they are actually a Jane Eyre retelling. And so there's The Awakening of Ivy Leavold. This series is called the Markham Trilogy, the Markham series. There's The Awakening of Ivy Leavold, The Education of Ivy Leavold, and The Punishment of Ivy Leavold. And then there's a little novella in the back of this one as well, The Reclaiming of Ivy Leavold. So this one is obviously about Ivy Leavold, and she goes to see her, she's left destitute after her brother's death, and so she's taken in by her cousin's brooding widower, Julian Markham. He's handsome and possessive, and it's not long before she falls for him, but Mr. Markham has dark secrets that may put Ivy in danger. So these are absolutely delightful. They are super sexy. They are super sexy, they're quick, and I mean, Sierra Simone, she has so many novellas, and I just wish she would write more long books like this, but basically it reads us like one story, so you can get through it real quick, but I love these so much. They make me so happy. Then I want to remind us of a series which isn't quite finished yet. I'm hoping the author will feel inspired to finish it because I've been waiting patiently for a little bit. But each book is interconnected standalone, so you can still read all the other ones. But she's an author who she can only write when the characters speak to her. And I really wish they would speak to her sooner. That would be nice so that I could get it. But I wanted to remind you that if you love Harper L. Woods, that's Adelaide Forest. And Adelaide Forest has a mafia series called The Bellandi Crime Syndicate. It has very possessive heroes. They are badly behaving heroes. There is things like messing with birth control and forced pregnancies and stalking and you're mine no matter what. Like, time's up, I'm coming for you. And I just gobble that stuff up. I just gobble it right up. And so when I found this series, I was absolutely obsessed. And so this one particularly is like a second chance romance. Like, they were in love in high school and he was going to be the head of the mafia. And so he pushed her away pretty cruelly because he didn't want her involved in his life. But he never lost sight of her. He'd always wanted to be with her, but he couldn't. And now it's many years later, and she is in a wrong place at a wrong time, and a bank is getting robbed. And the bank robbers notice her and are like, please don't tell him that we are doing this. And she's like, number one, why are these bank robbers know who I am? And number two, who are they talking about? So not only did he not forget her, but he made it known to to everyone in the city that she was not to be harmed or touched. And that puts her back in his sights because she's like, how dare you mess with my life this way? And he's like, you shouldn't have come back to see me again because now I'm going to make you mine. So yeah, definitely possessive obsessive. If you read Harper L. Woods or you've read any of her other works, definitely check this out. All right. This is one I love to bring up. This one is also a sports romance. I just adore this one so much. So if you've read Nikki Sloan, particularly if you've read some of her newest works, which are The Nashville Neighborhood, and the newest one, The Frat Boy, where there was two college students who end up filming porn together. One of her other books set in college is a sports romance called The Rivalry. And this is actually about these two meet at a wedding. And she is a cheerleader for one football team. And he is the quarterback and team captain of a rival team. But they have this amazing connection. They almost have a one-night stand. Like, they were really close to it and then something stopped them. And then they find out who each other is. Now, to him, it's not that big of a deal. He's like, well, this doesn't decide my future or anything. And for her, she's like, no, you don't understand. Like, my dad is like the coach of a team and you are the rivalry. Like, we can never happen. But they have this crazy connection and he just will not be swayed. And I love this. This also has some things I love where she has problems like relaxing during sex. She's never had guys really take the time to see to her. She's just this pretty cheerleader that they're happy to use and move along. And he's like, oh no, that won't be happening. Everybody has a good time when we have sex. And he does some great like work in that area. I just love that. Young men can be good men. Okay, they can be good men. So this one is fun. It's very lighthearted too. And they both make some really beautiful gestures for each other in this. And so I loved that. All right. And then the last one I want to mention, which honestly was kind of the inspiration for this video. Well, Juliet Cross and this author were the inspiration for this video because I always want to talk about Juliet Cross and I don't see enough people reading Bright Like Wildfire, right? So an author that I'm loving seeing getting more attention on Bookstagram right now is Claire Kent. She has this Kindle series, the Hold series. A lot of people were reading those during the Novelathon, which I sadly wasn't able to participate in because I was on vacation. And so it was just a bad week. I couldn't do it. But I saw so many of my friends reading it, and it reminded me that not only do I still have some Claire Kent titles to read, but there are some that I feel like some people don't know about. So Claire Kent has actually been writing for a very long time, and she has titles going back to like 2011, and as well as she has an alternate pen name, Noelle Adams, as well. But one of her like oldest books as Claire Kent, in fact, I think it is the first, is a book called Escorted. This book, it has a different cover on Amazon now. Like, they all have like object covers. But this book is actually about a male escort. And there's a female writer who, I think she's almost 30, and she's a virgin. And she decides to hire an escort to not only help her lose her virginity, but to help her get some inspiration for her books. And so she hires this escort and begins a kind of weekly meetings with him. And he is a very interesting man. Like, he's very stoic. He obviously is a perfect person for her to ask these questions to. But it becomes a slippery slope for her because she's experiencing these emotions for the first time, you know, sexual pleasure, and she very much is attaching them to this man. And that's a very dangerous thing because, I mean, this is his job. He's supposed to make her feel these things, but she just can't help it. She can't help but have those feelings. And so watching where this relationship goes is amazing. And it still has the very signature things about Claire Kent, where it's a very simple story often. And I don't say that with disdain or with anything but love. It's a very simple story. Woman hires escort. But the complex emotions she's able to put in. And usually her stories, they are from the heroine's point of view. Like, this is third person. A lot of her oldest ones are. The Kindle series are first person ones from the heroine's POV. We never get the hero's point of view. And so the heroine is very much left to like guess what they're thinking. And most of her heroes are very stoic, hidden away type of characters as well. And so we never know what they're thinking until this moment. There always is a moment when they finally confess their feelings. And we realize that all these little things we were seeing were them being completely gone for the heroine, but she didn't know it at all. And I love that. I recently just read as well a book called Nameless by her. That was an accidental pregnancy and was the same kind of thing. And it just blew me away. It was such a basic story, but the emotions in it were so raw and beautiful that it just gutted me. Like, it just gutted me. So I have to bring this up. If you're enjoying her newer works, you know, the sci-fi series she has and the Kindle series, I highly recommend you look a little further back in her backlist and check these out. So there you go. I hope this video was helpful for you. I hope you found something you want to try. I also hope it just inspires you as normal. Like, if there's an author you love, to check back further in their titles and see what you find. I love noticing patterns of what an author wrote in the beginning, and even if maybe that book isn't as good as what I'm loving now, you can kind of see them finding their feet in what they tell. So thank you so much for watching, my friends. Thank you for putting up with my sick voice as I explain all this. I am working my best to get better soon, and I will see you in the next video, my friends. Bye.